All right, there we go. Okay, so we should be live now. All right, we are live in the 7-5. We are live in the 7-5 here. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be breaking down exactly what it is that we saw happen here in the markets today. I'm actually going to let some people join up in here. Let's see, once we actually get joined up, we'll start going over exactly what it is that we saw here happen in our markets here today. So it was a good day. It was a good day, chat. It was a good day. Can't lie. Can't lie. It was a pretty solid day. Okay, well, let's get into some of the breakdowns. Let's get into some of the breakdowns. What time is it? It is about that time there. Okay, so what we're talking about here today is we're going to cover exactly what we talked about earlier this morning. We were able to catch some banger trades today, and so we're going to walk through each of the trades that we took. Appreciate you guys joining the live. We're going to walk through these trades that we took here. If you guys were here today this morning, you guys will have seen the exact moves that we were looking for and the trades that we were looking to take. So what were the trades that we took here today? Let's actually get on a review and let's talk about some of the moves that we were looking for. So if we go back here, bar by bar replay, what were we looking for coming into the markets here today? If you guys were here, like I said, this morning, then you knew exactly what it is that we were looking to see for our trading session here today. So what we got going on here? What do we have going on? So we talked about yesterday, about how we were looking for this impulsive move up, right? Where was our solid key number yesterday? Our solid key area of interest yesterday was this target down here. So what did we actually see happen in the markets? What did we want to see actually? We wanted to see that pullback back up into that 23,500 level. Once we got into this 23,500 level from here, we wanted to see this continued move to the downside. Now, if you guys were on our live session this morning and yesterday, you know that we called this bullish move up, which is a corrective structure, and this next wave, which we actually took advantage of here. So what do we see happen at this and from this 23,500 for those of you who were on today? Appreciate you, Social Lily, for the follow. For those of you, like I said, who were on here today, you guys knew exactly what move we were looking for. Right, so we wanted to see price come back to this 23,500 level, and we wanted to see this area of interest actually hold. What we wanted to see and what was going to be our indication was a nice impulsive move to the downside. Well, what did we get on the market open? We got a nice move to the downside here today. You can see this here at our 9:30 candle there. That is our market session open. We got that nice move to the downside. We didn't want to hop in there though. We got to our area of resistance. Price held this level nice and strong. We broke back below that 23,500 level, and then that's when we were looking to actually execute. So like I said, if you guys were on this session this morning, you guys know that we talked about this specifically for our session this morning, and we're going to break down the next move that we're looking at and the moves that we took here today, and actually how we were able to capitalize and make money today. If you were in our VIP, you should have made money today. If you were in this live session from this morning, you should have made money today. If you were in the live session last night, you should have still made money today, because all of these waves were called and indicated, right? So what were we looking for? We got that nice 9:30 open here. What did we want to see? We wanted to see price continue to push down, right? We wanted to just make sure that, hey, is price really going down here? And it indeed was, right? We had seen this low get broken here. I wanted to see on the lower time frame it give us some type of corrective structure. We did get a slight like retest of this area of interest once we broke through it. This was the area that we needed price to actually break below in order to confirm that price was in fact bearish. Once we did break through this low here, you can see that this 1 minute candle, we are on the 1 minute time frame taking a look at NQ for those of you who are wondering. You can see that on this 1 minute time frame right here, this is actually where we got a nice little retest off of, just a lower time frame retest. This isn't really even a corrective structure for me, but we did come back, test this area, and then reject it off of it. Now, what did price do? I wanted to see a little bit more of a correction, right? I didn't want to just hop in on at the end of this wave here. I wanted to see a little bit more of a correction for us to push up. What did we actually see happen? Price tanked down, right? So once we actually broke through this low here, we was like, okay, same thesis, right? We want to see that continued bearish move to the downside. We push through this low. Wait for it. We do push through this low. Boom. Once we pushed through this low, we wanted to see price come back up and retest this key area of interest. We did retest it, but we wanted to see that bearish move from this level here. Once we actually got this bearish move, I'm not sure if this was our area of interest. I believe this was our candle that we took. I have to go back and look and talk to the team. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first initial area of interest that we took our entry off of, and then we wanted to see that continuation to the downside. I believe we took a little bit of drawdown here, but we ended up overall pushing to our downside. So price actually retest. This is the level that I got in at. So this was actually my candle with a stop below this low here. We pushed up once, we pushed back into this level here. This was the start of our new 5-minute candle. You can see our 5-minute candle open up here. This was the top wick, right? So this was the end of our 5-minute candle at 9:50 a.m. And this was the start of our new 5-minute candle that we wanted to retest back into this area. And this was the actual entry that I took. So from here, we actually took our sell move to the downside. Now, where were we looking for price to actually go? If you guys, like I said, were on here for this morning or yesterday, you know that we were looking to target this larger time frame area of interest at this solid 23,100. Why were we looking to target this solid area of interest? Well, we had a nice impulsive move to the downside. We had our resistance there at 23,500 that we wanted to see price come back and break back below. We got a nice impulsive move off of this area here, and this is a key indication that price wants to do what? Go all the way to the downside. Not necessarily all the way to the downside, but this is an indication that price wants to push down. So from this level, we went ahead and took our entry. You can set a stop loss above this area of interest high, and we went and confirmed that there. Now, what were some areas that I was looking for price to actually target as we began to push down? Well, I'll show you exactly how we manage this position here. So you can see that we ended up getting a nice push to the downside here. I'm going to sit it right here so you guys can see. We started getting this nice wave to the downside, right? We're pushing down. We're pushing down. I believe it was within this candle where we went ahead and took and closed 50% of this trade right here, leaving the rest of the trade to run. What did we see happen? Price made a steeper move to the downside. I actually think it was this candle because we were at about a 1 to 1.3, right? So we were at about a 1 to 1.3. There we go. So that was where we went ahead and took 50% of our profits, closing 50% of this trade here. I can't close it because we're already on the bar replay. So then what did I do after that there? We went ahead, obviously we moved stops to break even on the trade to reduce our risk that was available. And then what did we want to see? We wanted to see this resistance area of interest hold. So what did we actually get? Price pushed up. You can see we're actually forming what appears to be a corrective structure. We got an impulsive move and a corrective structure. This was to me a nice sign that price could go to the downside. What's your thoughts on people calling the online trading industry scams? I mean, they either haven't made money or they, got scammed from somebody in the industry. There's a lot of people who do scam in this industry. Is this NQ or gold? This is NQ. We talked about NQ here today. In terms of the take profit, this is not a live trade. So my take profit was this lower 23,100. This is just a replay of the trade that we took here today. I see we got 21 people. If you guys are getting some value out of this, be sure to spam the like so that we can get this pushed out to more people. I want to get you guys this information on how we're actually executing here in the markets. So we were on live with the team when we took this trade here. What did we get? Price actually did give us a nice move to the downside with one of these next candles. Check us out, right? We pushed back down. Once we did that, we went ahead and trailed our stop loss into profit. We had already secured 50% of this trade. I'm not managing this bar replay as well, but I'm just using it as an example so that you guys can see the trade that we took. So after closing 50% of our trade here, we trailed our stops above this area of interest high, anticipating that area to hold. What we ended up seeing here is price failed to break through this key low, right? We needed price to break through this low in order to see that steeper move to the downside. Let's go ahead and confirm this. We actually did get a correction off of that, and then the rest of our runner was taken out at break even. No love lost there, right? We're still looking for this steeper move to the downside. So what did I do? I just waited, right? We hopped off the session. That was a solid 1 to 2 R trade that we had took there. We went and closed that, and then we were looking to see if we were going to get a steeper move up. The news was just about to release at the time, so you can see we get this steeper move to the upside. Price retests this area of interest. Very, very nice, strong level that price could go out of. And I was actually off the charts for all of this here. So when price retested this, pushed up, and I believe it actually took out this high here, I was not looking at the charts, right? Price just gave us that steeper move to the upside. Now we're actually starting to form some key areas of resistance. So where was the next trade that I actually took? And I was driving when I took this trade, but our members in the group was able to capitalize on this move as well. And why were they able to capitalize, chat, because we broke it down prior to, right? I broke it down with you guys here completely free on our free live on our pre-market prep. We also talked about it last night. So if you were on our live last night, you knew that we called this full bullish move up and this move to the downside. So we were looking for that continuation again to that larger time frame key area of interest, which was at that 23,100. That was going to be our weekly low that we were looking to target. So what did price actually do? It began to push down some more. So we push up, we push down, we kind of sit in this range here, and then we kind of break out of this range. Now, what time is this? This is like 1 something. I wasn't in on this trade. I think price actually made a steeper move down before I actually saw this here. You can see this is about 120. Let's go to our 1 minute time frame because that's where I actually entered on my trade here. Let me go ahead and push through. We got this corrective structure begin to form. I think this is where we actually started to look for my position here. So price, oh, yep, this is exactly where, if I'm not mistaken, where I was looking to potentially take my entry. Let me see. I have to play it out. I don't really remember the exact area. If I'm not mistaken, this was it though. Let's go through. Let's go through one more candle. I can show you guys what it is that I was looking for. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, here it is. Now, this was the candle. I knew it had that top wick. I just couldn't remember what candle it was. I know I missed this first wave when price pushed down. We corrected up. We pushed back down. I had missed that first wave. So what do we actually see happening right here? Price was looking like it was trying to close as a bearish candle. So being that we closed as a 5 minute bearish candle, again, our draw is to this 23,100. All we're trying to do and my only goal is to find a solid area of interest that I can use to ride to this move to the downside, right? So how did I actually get in? Let's talk about it. Once price actually, if I'm not mistaken, we pushed through this low here. We pushed through, come on. Let's go. There we go there. So hold on, let me make sure that this is the right candle, because I don't want to quote you guys wrong. Okay, yeah. Hold on. Because I got the whole thing recorded on the Ray-Ban Metas. Like I said, I was driving, so I I couldn't really, keep too much of an eye on the position, but I was able to send it out to our team. I see that you guys got us over 1,000 likes. I absolutely appreciate you guys. Let me see. Traded through the news today. What was your entry? Okay, hold on. How long have you been profitable? I didn't see all of these. They also think, okay, hold on. Let's go back. They also think it's a get rich quick. Yeah, that's what most people think in terms of trading. How long have you been profitable? About coming up on 4 years now. What time was your entry? My first entry was at like 9. Let's see. When was our first entry? Our first entry was right here. So our first entry was at 9:53 a.m. Eastern Standard. Once we had retested this key area of resistance here on the 5 minute, and on the 1 minute, if you take a look at our 5 minute time frame, we had seen that 5 minute candle close. Where we at? Boom. Okay, we had seen right here. This 5 minute candle closed below resistance. We were looking for the next 5 minute candle to come back and retest that area that we had just broken out of, and then we were going to scale in, or we scaled in, shall I say, on that first 1 minute candle following that 5 minute close. So the 5 minute closed right here. This pushed up, we retested, and this was that first 1 minute candle. This was the first trade that we actually took here today. Looking for that, again, that continued move to the downside. We ended up securing about a 1 to 2 R on this trade here. So that was a pretty solid move for us. And then our second trade was down in this area. I'm trying to get you guys the exact area that I was in so that I'm not spitting you guys something wrong here. So I'm going back to our VIP. Again, we trade live in our VIP each and every day. Well, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So my actual entry was 23,154. So that was where we got in at 23,154, 23,154. So right as price was actually this candle here, this was my candle, I went ahead and took my entry here with a stop loss slightly above this area of interest high, looking to target this 23,100 key area of resistance. Now, what do we actually see happen? Well, price began to run to the downside here. Once price came and we was at about a little over a 1 to 1, creeping up on that 1 to 2, I went ahead and closed 50% of the profits here, letting the rest of my trade to actually run. And then I would just trail my lower lows and lower highs. So we just placed in a lower high here. We trailed our stop loss above that. And then I was looking for price to hit this 23,100. So what I actually sent to my group, And I don't know if you guys can actually see all of these here. Let's see if you guys can see this. Okay. So what did we say in our VIP? So this was our first trade. I missed, like I said, I missed that second trade and that second entry here. And then we had this entry right here. So this was my entry of my actual trade I sent out. And then you can see, how we began to update here as price was going. We were looking to, continue that move to the downside to our larger time frame key area of interest. And I mentioned to the team, like, hey, look, we're going to start trailing our profits here. You can see we started to trail lower and lower as this trade played out. And then from there, you can see I told the team that, hey, look, if price hits that 23,100 level, then we're just going to let this thing rock. So what did we actually see happen, right? Price pushed down, right? We got this steeper move to the downside. And once we actually got to this 23, again, trailing these highs, once we broke through this 23,100, well, price began to rip to the downside here, right? We started to see this continue move. And this is why I didn't actually set a profit target for this 23,100, because we knew that it was likely that price makes a steeper move once we break through that larger time frame key area of low. Let me see. Oh, you've been profitable. What time was your entry? Appreciate all the follows. If you guys are getting value out of this, be sure to like this stream, right? We want to get this to over 2,000 likes. If you guys can get me to 2,000 likes, I would absolutely appreciate it. How long have you been trading versus the 4 years profitable? I've been trading for 5 years, 4 years profitable. It took about a year and 3 months before I got my first payout, but I was able, with the first account that I got, I was able to make back all the things that I lost. Best ticker to pass prop firm. Not sure what you're asking there. What platform do you use to trade? I trade on TradingView. That's generally where we take our trades at. And this one says, I'm sure you meant to say something else. Are you using Apex? Yeah, I trade with Apex. I trade with a couple of different firms, but Apex is the one that I've taken the most payouts on. Well, at least of futures firms, that would be. Okay, so once we got this continued move to the downside, look, I am just trailing. So at this point, I actually trailed above this 5-minute candle high right here that you can see. We trailed above that 5-minute candle high. Again, just letting this play out if price wants to continue to rip for us. You got to have the ability to let your winners run, right? And we knew that we were in good market structure, right? We had a nice impulsive move up. We had, or a corrective structure up, a nice impulsive move down. We knew that this could be a good run to the downside to this 23,100. That's why we were looking for that first trade. I mean, I'm telling you, if this first trade we would have been able to hold this first trade, that would have been crazy. But we ended up getting a nice 1 to 2 R on that trade. And then we were able to catch, again, essentially the last wave here, right? Because this was our last wave that we had before this price broke through our key area of interest that we were looking for. And so that was the last trade that we were able to take. And you can see here, I believe once price actually, because this pushed down a little bit further, I started to trail some of these highs. This is where I actually got taken out here with this candle for a solid, 1 to 5.6 R for this trade. And then what do we see happen? Well, price, slowly but surely started correcting back up to that 23,100 key solid hold number, right? So where are we at in the markets and where can price go? And what am I going to be looking to capitalize on, tomorrow, essentially? Because I don't trade the Asian session, but we will look to capitalize on the markets tomorrow. Well, let's take a look at where we are on the markets. We had this nice, and again, we talked about this impulsive move versus this corrective structure and expecting another impulsive leg to the downside. Our overall trend is bearish, so we were anticipating the markets to be bearish just based on, our monthly. Look at how this is our quarterly candle. So this is the 3-month candle, right? We're closing in 21 hours as this 3-month candle. Our monthly candle, super bearish. Previous weekly, very bearish, right? We anticipate this week to be bearish as well. So all we're looking for is where are the best places that we could actually get into the markets to capitalize on this steeper move to the downside. And we talked about it so many times yesterday. 23,500 was our first area of resistance that price would likely sell off of. So that 23,500 is where we wanted to see price pull back to. I told you guys pre-market yesterday that we would likely open with a gap down because we closed with so much volume on Friday. And that's exactly what we did. But I also told you guys that if we have gaps get filled, right? Gaps get filled. So we actually seen this gap get filled. We retested back into that 23,500. And then from there, we actually seen a change of character or a change of trend direction that actually confirmed that price does want to continue in the direction of our trend. And all we had to do in terms of, our trading today was just find the perfect area, not necessarily perfect area, but just find an area on this wave to the downside that we could actually capitalize on the move. And there was more than just one opportunity, right? We missed the very first one, right? We didn't take this first one when price broke out here. We wanted to see more of a corrective structure. We was a little bit more disciplined, right? Then we caught this move to the downside. Price formed a steeper correction. No worries there. We were able to catch this last leg of this move to break through our larger time frame target. So in terms of where can we see the markets actually go from here, right? That is the question that we're here to answer. And what is the next move that I personally would be looking for? Well, what did we just see happen? We got yet another impulsive move down, right? Of course, we got a nice impulsive move down. This is a continuation based move because it's continuing in the direction of our trend. So where can we actually see price go? And we're still bearish, right? Nothing has flipped this structure to being bullish for us. We are still sell bias. Price can keep going down. It does not have to stop, right? So where am I looking for price to go? Let's actually talk about it a little bit here. We will, I need help trading. Do you mentor? Yes, we do have one-on-one mentorships. You guys can join that as well. If you guys want, you can just shoot me a DM and I'll send you the information for the application to the one-on-one mentorship. And we also trade live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with our VIP. So if you want to join the VIP, if you join the mentorship, you automatically get access to the VIP and you'll get our course that's going to drop in 2 months here, beginner to price action pro course. That'll be coming out. Where can I find a chat for candlesticks that is true and says what it means? What are you, oh, a chart. Oh, a chart for candlesticks. Oh, okay. I read that completely wrong. On TradingView, right? We look at these charts on TradingView and these give us accurate data in terms of what we're looking for. Let's see, man, that NQ call you gave this morning was sweet. Hey, look, Pete, you were there. I'm glad, Pete, because I don't know if the rest of the chat knows that we talked about this move, right? Step by step, we talked about it, right? How much should I invest for the first time? You should invest in your education if you are just getting started. That's the first thing that you should invest on. And how much you should invest on that depends on what your actual budget is. But in terms of actually trading, it depends on, again, what everybody's situation is different. So I can't tell you exactly how much you need. I can tell you that you don't need a lot. I took $100 and turned it into over $10,000 in payouts, but you also need the skill to be able to do that. That took 4 years of skill to be able to do that in, let's say, about 2 to 3 months. What companies do you invest in? I am not an investor in companies because there's a difference, right? Investing is a long-term holding position, right? So if you are looking to invest, which just means basically you're trying to make almost a high yield savings account, then gold is always going to be your safest asset. Look at gold. Gold is still inside of that range. It still has not done nothing here today. If you guys were trading gold today, it is still inside of that rock and hard place that we talked about earlier today, where this is our rock, this is our hard place. Price is stuck in here, right? Until we get out of this, we're not looking at gold. We're not looking to trade gold. Okay, so back to what could the markets do, right? We had this nice impulsive move to the downside off of that 23,500 level that we talked about this morning. Again, members in our VIP were able to execute off of this. If you were on the live this morning, you should have made money off of this, right? If you were on the live yesterday, you should have still made money off of this, right? By being on these lives and not taking advantage of these moves, you're doing yourself a disservice. But that's what I'm here for, right? So that we can continue to break down and update as the markets are continuing to move. So we got this nice impulsive move to the downside. Where could we actually see some resistance form? Well, back at that 23,100 level. So this is our 23,100 level of resistance here. We want to see price potentially come back into this area. Now, if we dial down to our lower time frame, we did come back into this area and give us a steeper move to the downside here. We do have a nice shallow break, right? Shallow break just means that, or we haven't seen a nope, we did get a shallow break here. So price can run steeper to the downside. Again, where are we going to look for this to go? We have to take a look at our larger time frame and take a look at where we actually are. So we have our resistance here at this 23,000. Again, we said larger time frame. If price broke through this 23, or we flipped off of this 23,500 that this 23,000 level was going to be a very key level that we could see price actually gravitate toward. Why this 23,000 level? It's a nice psychological whole number where we could actually see some resistance off of. So being that we know that this is a previous area of resistance, right? We're creeping up on that now, and we have a nice shallow break on our 4-hour time frame. This is where I would likely want to see some type of corrective structure to form. So from here, I really want to see some type of, correction and retest back into these areas of interest, either that 23,100 or to even retest that 23,200 where we have our 4-hour resistance right there. We know 23,100 is a solid low. We rejected off of this area here. Once we pushed through this area, we had nice volume, and we've come back to retest this area and seen a steeper move to the downside. So this has solidified itself as a nice reversal zone that price could actually push to before giving us, again, that steeper move to the downside. What I want to see, a corrective structure form, right? We're not here to jump in front of a moving train. I'm 1K on gold right now. What are you selling it? Very you gotta be selling it likely. Do you stream on Twitch? I do not stream on Twitch, or I'm on YouTube, so I stream on YouTube as well. I just started live streaming to the public, so this is something a little bit newer to me. Again, if you guys are getting value out of this, smash that like, right? We're trying to get to 2K likes. If you guys give me the 2K likes, I will greatly appreciate that, right? That'll be you guys' thanks to me, right? And if you're getting some value out of this, drop ace in the comments, right? Are you getting value out of this? Are you guys able to capitalize on these moves that we're talking about? Is all of this making sense? If this is making sense to you and you're getting some value out of this, drop that ace in there. I see Caden drop the ace. I appreciate that, Caden. I've been seeing the follows. MLJ, I appreciate the follow. Nostalgic Jackson, I appreciate the follow. I see you up there. I see you. I appreciate you guys smashing those likes, right? Keep smashing it. I greatly appreciate it. It helps to push out the live, right? So what are we looking for? We're looking for some type of correction. We talked about this move all the time. We want to see some correction. Even if we break through this 23,000, expect that 23,000 level to get retested. Like if we break through here, we get a nice move to the downside, expect us to see some type of correction off of this level. We already have seen some type of reaction as we creep to this level here. We creeped up on that 23,000, right? We creeped up on her, but we couldn't quite tap into her, right? So we're gonna likely tap into her, but when we do, we'll either, there's only one of two things, well, there's one of three things that can happen. We tap into her, we start to range off, which is least likely, like that's the least likely thing. We tap into it, we see a correction, right? Based on our session time, this is what I would anticipate to happen, some type of correction before seeing yet another steeper move to the downside. That's what we hope for. Or we're going to see price break through this low and give us a nice impulsive move through this low. We'll come back, likely retest that area, and then we'll look to go short off of that solid 23,000 level to target whatever the low is that's currently priced in the markets. Just as similar as what we did last night in terms of this being our low that we were looking to target. This was my key area of resistance. We're just going to look to target whatever the low is that's created. If we don't see a low get created and we see that steeper correction to the upside, then we're going to look for, obviously, that 23,000 level is going to be our target. What can we see below 23,000? Let's go to our resistance here, the piece de resistance. So 22,900, 22,800. I mean, once price actually taps into this range here, we just really have to see how the market structure is showing us. Again, since we've seen such an impulsive move to the downside, I will be targeting whatever our, daily low is after seeing a correction form. What are some things that we're seeing here? Price pushed down, we pushed up. We're seeing another steeper move to the downside, right? We broke through, we found a correction. We had a resistance or a support now turned resistance, shall I say, and we're seeing a pretty decent move to the downside. Now this is obviously a choppier market structure here, but what we want to see price either push through this low, correct, and give us that steeper move to the downside. So if we break through that 23,000 level, look for a retest back into that 23,000 level. Again, that's going to be a strong area that price is going to want to hold. If we do not break this area and we do see a corrective structure up, let's see if we can hold that 23,107. If we break above 23,107, then what we would have to do from this point is actually wait for price to go from creating higher highs and higher lows, because breaking above this 23,107 flips this lower time frame structure from being bearish to now being corrective structure structure bullish, right? Why would this be a corrective structure and not a continuation? Because a correction or a retracement is something that goes against the direction of the trend, right? So you can trade corrections, but again, those are short-lived trades. We want to actually trade in the direction of the trend because it's going to give us our highest probability move with the highest probability of risk to reward, right? Because we are anticipating a continuation to create lower lows and lower highs. That means price could likely run for some decent profits, right? So if we do break above this 23, let's say 23,150, right? We break above 23,150 at our previous key high here, then that would flip this lower time frame structure to being from bearish to now being bullish, something similar of what we had happen here, right? Where we had this lower time frame shift. We talked about the shift yesterday on the open. Where was that shift at that happened here? Well, price created a low, it created a high, it created a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. So this was actually my key high. And what is a key high? The key high is the highest point that starts for the break of your previous low. So if this is my low here, I want to see what the highest point was before we actually push to break through that low. This was that area of interest. Now, once price actually broke above this, this flips the structure. Like this is the first indication that price actually wants to go and push up. And what did we see happen after price had pushed in? Because we created this new low here. What did we see happen, right? If we dial down to our 5-minute time frame, you can see that price pushed above that area of interest, came back down. Again, if it would have broken this low, that would have confirmed that price wanted to be bearish. But we've already seen a lower time frame shift, and we knew that we were at a larger time frame resistance. What was that larger time frame resistance? Oh goodness. What was that larger time frame resistance that we were at? We were right here, right? So we were retesting a key weekly structural level that we knew we would likely get some type of correction off of, right? Just the same way we think we'll likely get some type of correction off of this 23,000 level, right? So we had that indication there that price was actually shifting from being a bearish market structure to being now a bullish market structure. And where could we see it go? That 23,500 was that key target. Because if you look at it on the hour time frame, that's actually where we have resistance. We have resistance right here. But what's near this 23,476? Well, 23,500. Right, 23,500 is where price actually has to hold and close below. We've seen this nice, the very first indication that we actually seen that price wanted to go to downside. What was that? That was this wick right here. So if you guys were on for this morning, you know we talked about when this wick was pricing in that, hey, if price has a nice rejection wick off of that 23,500, it may not go back up to push and break through this high. Price can push back up here, but it might not break through this high. And if it doesn't break through this high and we actually see it hold below this 23,500, then that is the earliest indication that price could actually go down and start continuing in the direction of our trend to that 23,100. Let me see. I see you guys dropping the follows there. I like this guy. I appreciate that. Somebody said 2250, maybe potentially 22,500. If I make $250 on my Lucid funded account, how much can I withdraw after 5 days? You need to have, if I'm not mistaken, Lucid, you have to have like 5 days over 150, and then you can get like a 50% profit. I have a member who actually trades with Lucid. He's on his 3rd day of trading his new funded account, and he has 3 banger days back to back to back. He has $500. I think he made $500 on Thursday, $500 on Friday, and $500 today on the continuation move that we caught. Not the first move because he was at work, but the second move. He was able to capitalize on that there. Yes, sir. Facts. Exactly. I appreciate the follow, passionate vessel. Appreciate the follow, Xavier. For all of you following, D Queen, appreciate the follow. Diamond, appreciate the follow, sir. Follow the live. You guys, time frame of this chart. This, I gotta figure out how you guys can see it in the background. But this is the 1 hour, right? We were looking at the 1 hour here, and then I will go through and I actually execute on my 15 or my 5 minute and my 1 minute there. We are almost at 4K likes. Can we get to 4K likes, chat? Can we get to 4K likes? If you guys are getting value out of this, go ahead and tap that like for me. You know what I'm saying? That's how you can, show support to me, give back, and help to, push this live out to more people, because I want to help you guys start making some real money in the markets and to being consistent, right? To being able to understand how to actually read the markets. What are the markets telling us? I like to look at it like a little crystal ball. You feel me? It tells us exactly what it wants to do. Well, not exactly, but it does give us hints, very big hints as to what it wants to do. And it's left our job to just put all of those hints together to paint the picture of what the markets wants to do, right? We know what direction we're in, right? You always want to start down with your top down analysis. Then you want to identify what is the key indications, like key confirmations. And this is a part of that ACE. So when I tell you guys, drop an ACE in the chat if you're getting value. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to do this every single day, right? What is ACE? What is ACE? What does this stand for, right? This is an acronym that stands for let me connect my keyboard here. A stands for, let's go here. Boom. A stands for anticipation. Anticipation. So first thing you want to do when you hop into the markets, you want to anticipate where can price go. First of all, you want to identify where you're at, what wave you're in, and then from there, where could price go? Then from there, you want to do the C, right? What is C? C is, if you guys have been showing up, you guys know what this is. This is confirmation. So we need to actually wait for confirmation. So today we were anticipating price to push up to that 23,500, but then we needed to wait for our confirmation. What was our confirmation? A nice impulsive move to the downside from that 23,500. So this is our 23,500 right here. This is our 23,500 range. Boom. We were looking for a nice impulsive move. Look at this move off of 23,500. This is not random. I'm telling you guys, this isn't random. I'm listening to the first 5 people to measure me with the word God did. Okay, we're gonna have to mute you, sir. You are spamming my chat. I need people to be able to see the people who have real questions. Okay. Yeah, so once we got that nice impulsive move to the downside, that was our one key confirmation, right? Our actual confirmation for our trade, at least our first trade that we took today, was on the 1 minute time frame once price actually came back up to retest a key area of interest. So we had broke out of this larger time frame area of interest here. We was like, okay, cool. If price holds this level, then we're going to look for that continued move to the downside. If we go to our 5 minute time frame, I'm going to walk you guys through step by step what that confirmation was, what that C is in terms of our confirmation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our bar replay and we're going to take a look at this market structure here. So we just got a nice impulsive move off of our 23,500 and we're targeting 23,100. So our 23,100 lows, that's our weekly low. So what was my confirmation here? How did I actually execute based on my system in this area? Well, let's take a look, right? What did we want to see? We seen price just broke through a key larger time frame area of interest and our 5 minute candle has just closed below that low. So what do I want to see from my next 5 minute? I want to see the next 5 minute come back up to retest this area and confirm that price actually wants to go down by showing us some signs of rejection. So what is that there? Let's go and see if price actually pushes up. We get this 1 minute candle push down. It didn't really push back up into our range, so we're waiting. Price pushes up. Okay, good. This looks good. Okay, we've just tapped into this area. Now, from here, my confirmation would be a strong bearish candle to close from this level. Let's see if we get that. Boom, got that nice strong bearish candle to close from that larger time frame key level, and this was my actual confirmation. So from our confirmation, what is the next thing that we want to do? After we've anticipated what the markets can do, we've waited for our confirmation, now we have to do the final step of acing any trade. Let's actually zoom back out so that we can see our ace a little bit clearer here. There we go. We actually have to, hold on, let me pull it up. Wait for me, chat. We have to execute. We need to execute, right? It doesn't do us no good if we sit here on the charts, we see our confirmation and we don't execute. But you can't execute without waiting for your confirmation, and you can't wait for a confirmation if you don't know what a confirmation is because you haven't anticipated the move yet. You need to be able to anticipate the move, wait for your confirmation, and then execute. It is a 3-step process, and you have to do one before you can get to the next one, right? So that was our actual confirmation. And then we executed on our trade. We made a nice 1 to 2 R on this first trade. And then we ended up securing a 1 to 6 R on our second trade. So we got, we closed 50% of our profits right here. And then I got out, I closed like 80% more. So I closed about 80% of my profits right there. And then we just had that 20% to run. And that 20% actually came back to break even, which was perfectly fine because we were able to still capitalize on this steeper move to the downside later in the day because we knew where the markets wanted to push to, right? We knew that the markets wanted to push down. How do I know? Let's just take a look at this. How do I know that the markets want to push down here? We just got this big move up. Kai, how do we know, right? we know based off of our candle price action, right? So what did we have from here? We had a nice impulsive leg. How many candles did it take to push this move to the downside? Well, it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 5-minute candles. Okay, let's see how long it took to actually try to form a correction, right? It took how many candles? We draw this from here to here. It took 28 bars, right? 28 of them, 27. Okay, 27. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it took 27 to actually get 50% of that. What does this show me right here? What am I seeing? I'm seeing that we have strong bearish movement. We know that our larger time frame is in fact bearish. And as price is actually trying to buy up, it's struggling. It's just struggling. It's struggling. Every time it's pushing up, it's like running up a mountain. And as you get close to the top, you just fall all the way back down. That's what's happening here. Price is struggling to push us higher. That's telling me that it actually wants to go down. And what did we see happen following this? Well, we've seen price continue to go down. Well, of course, duh. Where else would it go? It has to go down. And where did it want to go to? Our key larger time frame area of interest. Then what happened from this level? We pushed through. We was able to capitalize on it. And then we came back to this key area of interest. This lets me know that price is pretty strong here. And if we can close back under this level, what are we going to likely do? Well, we'll likely push to the downside. See, look at how we formed this retest. This is not random. All these things that we're doing in the markets is not random. 23,100. We broke above 23,100. Nice little move to the upside. We came back into the 23,100, formed another area of support, right? Price was struggling to break through this 23,100. So you can expect that once it breaks through 23,100, it's going to give you some volume to the downside. And that's exactly what we've seen. So being able to read what are these candles telling you, understanding where you're at on a larger time frame, and then being able to position yourself to capitalize in the markets. That's exactly how you do it. Should I trade with 10K on a live account or buy 10K worth of evals? If you got 10K to put and just put through like that, I would recommend, spending like, you wouldn't even need 10K in evals. I would start with 1 or 2 evals, because you don't want to blow through all of that there. And then so you can legit predict people's impulsive move. We can't necessarily predict. I mean, we can't. Obviously, we did predict this move here. But what we're doing is more so we're like detectives, right? How I like to see it is we're detectives. We use all the clues that the market is giving us, and then we try to paint the picture as to what happened or what could happen, right? And so in terms of being a detective, you need to know what to look for. How are you going to be a detective and you don't know what to look for? All of y'all peoples is getting away, right? Because you don't know what exactly to look for, right? And so that's essentially why we're here today. If you, like I said, getting back to that should I trade with 10K on the live account, I would honestly recommend, getting some evals, especially if you're just starting out. Get some evals, practice learning how to trade on there, or some really investing some of that into education. If you haven't, if you don't know how to trade the markets, you should really put that into education, because not the full 10K, obviously, like $100, $200, $300 depending, into proper education so that you can, make the most out of that 10K. You don't want to blow that there. Why would you want to buy 10K on evals where you can get one eval pass and get 100K? Exactly. And then you can just leverage that. So essentially, if you have 10K in funding or 10K, you can put that towards a lot of funding and get, I turned $100 into over $10,000 in payouts with a singular 100K account. So, you could, once you understand it still, you could do a lot. Keep your money, use their money. Exactly. What market is this? This is the NQ. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I'm learning so much just off of this one stream. Hey, look, James, if you're getting a lot of value out of this and you haven't already followed, go ahead and follow, man, because we're going to be hopping on these lives pre-market in the morning so that you guys know exactly what it is that I'm looking for. Again, if you guys are getting value out of this, let me know, right? Let's do a quick little check-in. Drop aces in the chat if you're getting some value out of this here today. I appreciate the follow, multiple streams. I appreciate the follow, Takura. I appreciate the follow, relationship coach. Appreciate the follow, Styles, Pac-Man. Appreciate it. I see Alejandro dropping the A in there. I followed this morning. Appreciate that, James. So you were there for this morning session. So you knew that we caught this move here today. I hope you made money on that, James. If you didn't, no worries. We're going to take advantage of the next one. Mike says ace. Appreciate that. What is that? Cherie. I appreciate the follow there. Ace, I'm seeing an ace there. Appreciate the follow, Heavens. God bless your soul for the info, brother. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. I want to make sure that you guys are understanding how these markets work. That's essentially why I started For the Culture FX. This is for the culture of FX. You know what I'm saying? I trade futures now, but back when I started, I was trading FX. What market is that? I'm from the UK. This is the NASDAQ. I got to figure out how I can, somebody in the chat, let me know how I can put the have it pop up in the background here, so where you can see the asset that I'm trading and the time frame. I've seen so many traders, they have it in the back. I went through the settings today, I could not find it. Maybe it's somewhere here in labels. Let's see. Indicators, no overlapping, bid, ask, high, low. So, oh, where did that go? Oh, it added it to the side right here. Close, but no cigar. I want it to be actually on the chart. You guys know how I can get it to the background of the chart? I went through like some of these things here. Let me see. How do you maintain your patience? You take a lot of losses. Literally, you take a lot of losses for being impatient. If you look at my journal here from dating back to 2020 or 2022, I took a lot of false breakouts where I was just hopping in trades too early, right? Again, this is my journal dating back to 2022. I have all of those trades, you know, kind of marked out. I haven't started a new journal since then, but you know, I was taking a lot of early entries. You can see early entry, candle never closed below support, false break, price failed to close below support, false break here. I was getting faked out tons and tons of time in a row. And I was like, hey, look, I'm tired of being early to the markets. I don't care to be early anymore because I would be early to the market. It would form a correction. I get stopped out and then it'll start moving with the trade. If I would have waited for my confirmation, that's how ACE was developed. Anticipation, confirmation, execution. I was just getting in on so many early entries that I was just tired of losing. I don't care what strategy. I don't care what strategy. What do you say? What strategy are you teaching? I'm teaching the ACE trader method. How long did it take you to become a profitable trader? It took 1.5 years. Settings, go to canvas, and then watermark. Oh my God, appreciate that. Who is that? Who said that right there? Dominic, I appreciate this. So you said go to settings, you said go to canvas, and then watermark. Ah, there we go. There we go. There we go. What do I want to see? I don't want to see replay mode. Ticker, interval, description. What is this? Nope, that didn't add it. Hold on, let's go. Let's get out of this bar by bar replay. Then we might be able to do something. Let's see. Let's go to settings. Watermark. What am I looking for? Not ticker. Let's check all of them. Oh. Wait a minute. This is black. That might not show up if it's black. Hold on, let me see. Okay, appreciate it. Okay. I got you here. I got you guys. So hold on. Appreciate that, Dominic. Let me see. Let's get the ticker off. Wait. Is that the ticker? Oh, okay, yeah. We keep that. Interval on. Description, don't need that. Replay mode. So do we want the description? Would you guys prefer the description or just the asset? I think the asset is fine. I don't think you need to know that it's the micro E-minis NASDAQ 100 index futures. I don't think you need to know all that. And then let's actually make this gray so that I can see this here. And then let's make the opacity like that. There we go. Now you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm looking for. Oh, I remember why I got rid of this. I'm not going to lie. I don't necessarily like, I like clean charts. I don't know how you guys trade, but I like clean charts. Yeah, I meant to say, what strategy are you teaching? Oh yeah, I trade a ACE trader method. Do you have a YouTube channel? Yes, I do have a YouTube channel where I break down, essentially my full 9-step process. I actually have, the ACE trader starter pack where you guys can get the journal along with the free 9-step blueprint that walks you through my exact trading strategy and how I actually execute in the markets each day. It has the risk management plan along with it. So it has the checklist so you can check off each of these things as you go through. You have to go to the checklist top to bottom, just like with ACE. You can't jump to the last step. This is a step-by-step thing that you do when you show up to the markets, and then it teaches you or tells you how I execute, how I'm moving stop loss to break even at 1-to-1 risk to reward, waiting for that 1-to-2 R to be hit, and different things that I'm doing in terms of my risk management. And then actually live videos of me breaking down each individual step, giving 3 examples, and then showing you a live example of me actually taking the moves in the markets. And then it has at the bottom here, you can see how I was able to get max allocated funding with Take Profit Trader utilizing the system, and then how our members are actually getting funded using the system as well. So that is there for you if you want to go ahead and check that out. What's your name? Are you from Ohio? No, I'm from Virginia. My name is Kyron. I don't tell people my name a lot, right? I feel like I almost changed my name from For the Culture FX to Kyron Trades or something like that, so that people knew what my name was. Again, we're almost at that 6K likes. Go ahead and let's get us to 7K. Can we get to 10K? Let's just be real. Can we get to 10K? We got 82 people on here. I think if everybody starts tapping right now, we can get to 10K in the likes. If you guys are getting some value out of this, drop those likes for me. That really shows support to the stream and helps to push us out even further. So Again, we don't have a lot going on here for the NQ here for the Asian session. I just want you guys to see what exactly it is that I'm looking for. So we have a shallow break. If we see a corrective structure, which we know we're at that key area of resistance on that larger time frame, right? We're just creeping up on that 23,000 level, right? So as we're creeping up on this 23,000 level, I'm expecting some type of reaction off of this 23,000 level. I don't think that you go to 23,000 without seeing some type of reaction, right? And the reaction that I want to see is some type of corrective structure to form. So price on the lower time frame to start creating higher highs and higher lows. Again, just slow, low corrective structure, and then we'll look for another impulsive move to the downside, targeting this 23,000 lows, potentially even steeper. We just got to see how the price action actually plays out. We don't have any area of resistance right here that we can say price is going to definitively go to, right? That's why we need to see a corrective structure form, because that's actually how we start to place in our targets, right? So again, I told you guys yesterday, for those of you who were on the session yesterday, I gotta make this lighter. Like it is just like, it's too dark. I took all of this stuff off because I don't like anything on my charts, but this is going to be very beneficial for you guys to have that. But I got to make it lighter so that it's not like too OD. Can you guys see this? Oh yeah, y'all can see that. MQ, right? That's good enough. You can see that. All right. So yeah, so we need to see some type of corrective structure to form off of somewhere in this area. Again, 23,000 is likely where I would like to see some corrective structure to form. Again, 23,000, we could see an impulsive break through this low. So just keep an eye out on the reaction that we make at this level. If we get a nice impulsive move down and price just runs to the downside, then we're looking to test that 23,000, and then we target whatever our low is that price actually gets put in. Because again, we're just sell bias this week, right? I'm not looking to take any buys, right? And we're looking to capitalize on solid position sells. We were able to catch a 1 to 2 from this move here to here, and then we were able to catch a 1 to 6 from here down into these key area of interest here today in our VIP. What would be the best advice for a beginner? The best advice that I have for you is to spend as much time as you can soaking up value, right? Joining these lives already proves that you have what it takes to get better. The fact that you actually ask that question just proves that you want to get better as a trader. So the more you can show up to these lives, and the more that you can actually spend more time on the charts, that's what you want to do. Peanut, what's good? What is good? Peanut, you got to drop some likes on the stream for me. Having time is a little hard when you have a 9 to 6 job. Yeah, it can be, but I have traders who are in our community who have 9 to 5 jobs, who will literally take in at the markets at 9-10, because that's when we actually hop in at, and then they take a look at what the markets is doing, and they're able to capitalize and execute. I have one member today, he was able to make $500 on the ES literally after our session while he was at work, simply because he knew what he was looking for and what we were looking for in the markets there. Don Archie, are you from Nigeria? Is that what you're saying there? But yeah, a lot of people say that it's hard to trade when you have a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6. I get that 110%. But what is your 5 to 9 like? 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or you're essentially 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then you're 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., right? We oftentimes say that we don't have time, but I think if you take a look at, the actual things that you're doing each and every day, like, do you find yourself just scrolling on TikTok, right? For an hour, 2 hours a day? Well, you could dedicate 10, 15, 20 minutes to actually, practicing in the markets. And that's really what I recommend. And like I said, the more time that you can spend just on the charts actively, especially if you have, market open, then you got back to it. Yeah. Especially if you have somebody actually walking you through the system and how to actually trade, that's going to be the biggest thing that you have. So showing up to these lives, following me and showing up to these lives is going to be very, very crucial. You don't necessarily have to follow me, right? I'm not begging anybody to follow, but I'm just saying that we're going to hop on here every day and we're going to break down these markets. So if you want to learn how the markets are actually moving, what wave that we're actually in, and the next moves that I'm personally looking at, you should show up to these lives. That's what I recommend. All right. I ain't here to toot my own horn, but if you got some value out of this, then you know, right? If you were here this morning, we took advantage of all of those moves that we talked about. No, you're doing a good job. You got my follow. I can't seem to pass my prop firm challenge. I appreciate that, Curto, by the way, as well. I found you on prop firm match. Hey, a prop firm match. Yes, sir. I don't really promote prop firm match all too much, but I do create content for prop firm match. More videos coming in the future. All right. Let's see. I can't seem to pass my prop firm challenges. Can I get some help? Okay, Don, tell me, what is it that's actually, what do you feel is holding you back? Because oftentimes we can say that, you know, I'm struggling in this area, I'm struggling in this area, but you likely know what it is that's holding you back in terms of what you're executing on and how you're executing. There's definitely some key indications there. So drop it in the chat. Let me know, what is it that you feel that you're struggling with, right? Is it that you don't understand how candles are moving, or is it that it's more on the emotional side where you're not being patient for your setups to play out, or you're not being patient for your confirmation and things like that? There's a lot of different things that could be causing you to fail these challenge accounts, and it comes down strategy and emotional. Okay, so you don't have a clear strategy and you're emotional, right? And because you're only emotional because you don't have a clear strategy. So you hop into the markets each day hoping that it either goes in your favor, and if it doesn't, you're feeling all of that anxiousness. I knew today when I hopped in the markets exactly what it is that I was looking for, right? If one specific thing happens, then I'm going to trade, because I know how my system and my strategy works. So it comes down to, for one, you need to have a profitable strategy and system that you're using. And then two, in order to gain confidence in that strategy and system, you have to do reps, right? We have detected an inactivity during your current live. Complete the verification to continue your live. An inactivity? What is TikTok talking about here? Okay, hold on. I gotta do this little puzzle. My fault, guys. They were gonna shut us down. So yeah, you gotta take a look at that. And if you need strategy, then I have a full 9-step blueprint. Again, go through and get this. If anybody wants this blueprint and the free trading journal, DM me on TikTok after this live. I'll send it out to all of you guys, right? You can have this full thing and just go through. You can go to my YouTube channel and watch all of the videos of us executing on these trades and my strategy and system. So that strategy thing shouldn't be a problem anymore, but the emotions can be a problem. And the only way that you can overcome emotions is through consistency and reps. Look, I'm gonna pull this book out every single time, right? You're struggling with your emotions. These are two books this is pretty much the junior book of this here, you know, shorter, smaller read, but essentially the same information in both of these books: Atomic Habits and The Power of Discipline, right? I'm not here, you know, promoting these books for you guys to buy them or anything, but I recommend listening to audiobooks. Somebody told me about 5 years ago that you can have a PhD times 3 if you replace your music with audiobooks. So for all of 2020, 2021, 2022, I was just listening to a whole bunch of audiobooks and reading. The Science of Getting Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, one of my favorite books of all time, The Richest Man in Babylon. It goes to show you that the process of acquiring money has not changed in thousands of years. It's the same thing. One dude, his name was Arcad. I'm just going to tell you this real quick in The Richest Man in Babylon, because I get into this whole educational stuff, right? So Arcad, richest dude in Babylon. Back in the day, they actually had gold coins. So there was no money in Babylon because all of the gold coins ended up in the hands of 3 wealthy men. And of those 3 wealthy men, the richest one was Arcad. And essentially he was broke in his 30s, right? He was a sculptor. And one day he had a client that came in for a sculpture, right? And he didn't finish the sculpture in time. So what he told the dude when he came back, he was like, look, I'm not done yet, but when I finish it, I'll finish it tonight. And if you come back tomorrow, you don't have to pay me. Just tell me how you got rich. And the dude that he was talking to was an old guy who had sons who only thought about spending money. They never thought about how to make money, how to save money, and anything like that. And so he was like, you know, an old tongue likes to wag. So he's like, sure, bet. You finish this tomorrow, I'll tell you. All right. So the first thing that he said to the dude, and the first step was start thy purse to fattening. So basically you need to have some type of income. Then the second thing is 10% of everything that you own is yours to keep. So pay yourself first before you pay any bills, any debts, anything like that. Because at the end of the day, those bills, those debts, all of that stuff, it's going to be there, right? Your savings and growing up your own personal fund. Like, you shouldn't pay everybody else before you pay yourself. And so many people just pay out everybody else before, and they don't have anything left, right? You're already going to, even if you're struggling, right, and you don't have enough to cover everything that you have, you'll still never have enough, but you might as well put some for, you know, a rainy day if you do. Like, put 10% away. So that was the first thing he had to do. And it's not a quick thing. He had to do that for a year. Then what was the next thing that he do? Buddy only gave him one tip a year, right? He had to execute on that tip for a year and then come back for the next tip. So after that, he said, make thyself a profitable investment. Right. So what did Arcad do? Arcad took that $1,000. He took that 10% that he saved up for a year and he gave it to a brick maker. He gave it to a brick maker to go buy gems. And then the guru, as I like to think of him, he told him, oh, you just shucked up all of your profits. Why would you go to a brick maker to actually go and buy gems? Right. If you want to have somebody go buy you gems, go to a jeweler. If you want to learn how to trade, learn from a profitable trader, right? So he gave all of his money to this guy to go buy jewels. He went to go buy the jewels. He came back. The jewels were all fake. Boom. All of his savings gone. Got to start over again. So then he saved up for another year, 10% of everything that he earned. Boom. Then what did he do from that? He paid a shield maker to go buy metals so that he can make shields. And then he would get a profit or a portion of the profits that the shield maker made, plus interest, right? This was the first essential banking system, or not banking system, but this was the first essential credit, right? But he got a loan, took out a loan to go start a business, and then was able to give that money back once he made profits from the business. And Arcad now had some additional sources of income coming in. So then what did he do after that? He spent all of it. He bought all of these nice jewelry, these nice clothes, and the dude told him, like, no, you done it again. You just ruined it all again. Each gold coin that you have is a worker for you. So that's what we teach here in the markets, of how to make our money work for us. Money is created, right? It can be created just like that. Today we made $2,000 off of simple knowledge that we knew based on the charts. And I'm gonna read some of these things here. How much money do you think I should start with? It depends on how much you have. Did you say I should DM you to get your book? I don't have a book. But you can DM me to get the blueprint and the free trading journal as well. I don't know if you have answered this question, but what is the best way to get started? The best way to get started is to start with some basic information. Like, I have a actual beginner's, I wouldn't call it a course because it is a video that will walk you through exactly how to get started. What is market structure? You start to identify. We have some challenges in there to where you identify, is price bullish versus bearish, how we actually make money as traders, different things like that. Free journal. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know you guys didn't come here to hear me ramble about the richest man in Babylon, but I think all of this information is so valuable because that was over 2,000 years ago. How did the richest man in Babylon actually get found? It was written on scribes. So this story that I'm telling you guys was written on like scribe tablets, and then some archaeologist in the 1930 or 1940s or something from Harvard, he actually found it. Or some archaeologists found it, and then they sent it to some Harvard, people to translate it. And he realized that it literally was a step-by-step pamphlet on how to gain wealth. And then the dude who actually translated it applied those principles to his life and actually started to get that financial literacy and that financial freedom that he was looking for. So it just goes to show that the principles to acquiring wealth are the same as they were 2,000 years ago, right? In Babylon. It's the same exact thing. Start thy purse to fattening, make thyself a profitable investment. 10% of everything you earn is yours to keep. Start an army of gold soldiers. So what is an army of gold soldiers in today's day, right? That would be starting with one funded account. Similar to how I took $100 with 100K account into over $10,000 in profit and over $1.15 million in funding. I use one initial investment to actually fund these other larger investments, and thus my funding grew. Right? I didn't just buy, $1 million in funding. I took that first 100K. Then after that first 100K, I took a $1,900 payout. Like, let's look. I can show you guys here. Because men lie, women lie, numbers don't. All right? They don't lie. So we took this 1929 payout. We invested a portion of that into 2 more accounts. Then while we're getting and passing those accounts, we're also taking more and more payouts on that same singular 100K account, right? And growing our funding, putting a portion back. Like I said, 10% of everything that you earn is yours to keep. So we're keeping some. We got to give Uncle Sam his piece, right? And then we're taking from what's left from that, 50% do whatever you want with the rest of that 50%, and then the other 50% into acquisition, into growing your actual funds, right? And so that's how we slowly but surely grew. First it was a 100K account, then it was a 50K account that I got after that, past that, then I got 250K accounts, past those, then bought two more 150K accounts, past those, bought another 250K accounts on Apex side, past those. I have all of those videos breaking down, not even breaking it down. You can see me trade those accounts live. Like if you go to my, I don't know how TikTok feels about going to YouTube, but I don't care, right? We're going to go to YouTube, right? I'll show you, because I can show you better than
Auto insurance is one of those products.
I don't know why that video keeps popping up with that little auto insurance. Okay, so where was it at? This is how we actually pass. This is our high volume strat. This is how I would start if I was a beginner. Let's go to it. Okay, boom. Master the game. This will teach you how to actually trade with prop firms. But where was it at? 750 funded, max in every firm. So this video actually breaks down how we got max allocated funding with Take Profit Trader and the strategy that I use. This is teaching you how to actually win the prop firm game. Let's scroll down. Funded in 6 days shows you that first 100K account. Look, 7 months ago, that first 100K account passed it in 6 days. Then took that account, passed another account in. Where is it at? I think it's in here in this video, where we passed yet another account, and then we passed some more, and then some more in here. Where is it at? Right here. We passed more when we was on the trip, and we just been slowly but surely growing. So if you want to take a look at how we're actually trading these accounts, passing these accounts, you could take a look there. We're pushing down to that 23. Look at that reaction off of 23,000, chat. Come on now, look at this reaction that we're getting off of this 23,000, right? We knew that if price pushed to that 23,000, we was going to see something, right? We was going to see a little something. Look at that nice correction that we're getting off of that 23,000 and this rejection from this 23,000 low here. This is a key indication and the first indication of a possible corrective structure to form. Again, we had that solid hold number. We could see a possible steeper move to the upside, and we're going to look for sell moves to the downside to target whatever our low is. That is what we are looking for. Let's see. Yeah, this is, and we're gonna mute this. What is the best time to start? It depends. The best time to start is now, right? The best time to start is now. M&Q runs all day of M&Q run all day of certain time. I'm not sure what you're asking there, or if you're asking anything. What's your blueprint about? The blueprint goes through my step-by-step, like the steps that we take each and every day before we hop on the market. So the first thing is we want to make sure that we're trading the New York session in particular. I trade live from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we can see moves happening later during the New York session. Then after you know that what session you're trading, you want to check my FX book for any news events for the session. We knew that we had news coming out today at 10:30 with Powell speaking, and we knew that could potentially add some volume into the markets. And if it was bearish, since the markets were bearish, we would likely see that volume push us further down. That's how we was able to capitalize on that. Then you want to identify your direction on the 15-minute time frame. What are we doing? The price is actually bearish, so if we take a look here, what are we seeing happening on this 15-minute time frame? We're clearly in this nice impulsive bearish wave, right? So this is telling me here that we're in, I don't know why am I just tweaking. We're in this nice bearish wave. We could potentially see a steeper move to the downside begin to form, right? What are we going to look for? We're going to look for a corrective structure and to get in on that continuation to the downside. And then it walks through the individual steps of dialing down to our 5-minute time frame, marking out those key zones, waiting for price to get to those key zones, to break in below those key zones or retest those key zones. And then, how we're going to enter our trade, after the 5-minute candle close on the first 1-minute candle to close in the direction of your trade. So an example of that will be the trade that we took this morning, right? This first trade that we took here this morning, price closed below my key area of resistance on that 5-minute time frame. Let's actually go back to it. And once we actually closed as a bearish candle here, we closed below the low. Let's go to it. Price came back up. This was the area that we wanted to see retest, right? So we closed below that low with this candle here. We wanted to see that corrective structure form. This was the first 1-minute candle that closed as a bearish candle. That was my entry candle. And then it walks you through how to actually set our stop loss and everything. So once you take the entry, how are we setting our stop loss? Well, you want to set your stop loss safely above that or below that current 1-minute candle. So what is that? That means that my stop loss goes right above this candle here. And that's where we're going to look for our stop loss to actually be. And then we oftentimes target a 1 to 2 risk to reward. It tells you how we actually manage manage our risk, right? So after you set stop loss to break even at a 1-to-1 risk to reward. So once we run to a 1-to-1, oftentimes I would set this up here and just move and put a line right here. Boom, that's my line. That way I know where my 1-to-1 is at, and I can reduce risk once price gets there. And then from there, we typically we'll wait for a 1-to-2 R to be hit, depending on if you're trading a challenge or not. I typically tell my members to go ahead and close majority of their position at that 1-to-2 R, and then if not, you could take profit after the first 1 minute candle to close in the opposite direction, because it's oftentimes a key indication of a reversal, right? So but today was a little bit different, right? That first trade executed like that, but the second trade we held to a 1-to-6 R, right? It's for price to break through that larger time frame. So that's what the step by step will teach you. How has becoming famous changed you? I'm not famous. Nobody knows me. I actually wake up every morning thinking that I need to prove something so that people know that we're doing this thing and we're doing it well, right? We're doing it real. Are you guys getting some value out of this? Am I just rambling here, or are you guys actually getting some real value out of this? You guys know what I'm about to say. Drop an ace in the chat if you are getting some value out of this. I want to see those aces. ACE. Are you getting value out of this? Is this making sense, right? Or am I just rambling? Do I need to stop? Right? Should I just stop in the stream? Is that what we have to do? Or are you guys getting some value? Okay, I see Don says ace. Okay, appreciate that, Don. Day trading baddie. I appreciate the follow there. Resin joined. Don dropped the ace again. Yeah, appreciate you, Don. You carrying the chat right now. Again, if you guys are getting some value out of this, go ahead and drop those likes. We're almost at, look, the highest likes we've been at is 12K. Can we get to 15? Can we get to 15? I got let's say I got another 15 to 20 minutes, right? 15 to 20 minutes. Can we get to 15K likes? That'll be you guys' gift to me. Okay, so let's take a look at gold. What's been happening with gold? You guys I know a lot of you like trading gold. Gold is in between a rock and a hard place. It's still in between that rock and a hard place. We practically have not moved since all of yesterday, right? Where did we open up at? We opened up right here, right? And then price it did a little slow trickle to the downside, but it ain't did nothing crazy, right? We're still in between that rock and that hard place. Why? On the daily time frame, you can see here we rejected off of this 43, let's say 43,400. Nice solid whole numbers. You know I love my solid whole numbers. 43,400 is our area of resistance, and then we have our top up here at this 4,600, right? So 4,600 is where we're seeing that resistance, and price is just stuck in between this range here. As soon as we break out, I'm telling you, you break above or you break below. We're anticipating above, but short term, right? Why are we anticipating a short term bullish move? Because price gave us such an impulsive move to the downside. We do have this rejection wick right here that lets us know that we're gonna hop in a corrective structure, or that we could hop in a corrective structure. And then based on this 4-hour time frame, again, if you just look at the price action, right? High impulsive move to the downside, slow, low corrective structure to the upside, right? So price is actually kind of struggling to push to the upside in terms of this overall market direction. That's not to say that we can't go up, right? But that's just saying that we're more likely to push to the downside. And in order to see that, we actually have to see either a close above this area here, or for price to actually push back below this low. I wouldn't be looking to trade inside of this range until, gold kind of clears up. What exactly does she want to do, right? Based on this lower time frame, let's go and take a look at the lower time frame, right? We were creating higher highs and higher lows within this here. We created a high, a low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high. Now, what price did is it came back to that 4,600 level, and then it made a lower time frame shift. What do I mean by that? Let's actually dial down to our lower time frame. What do we see here? Price had created this high. We got a high. We essentially got a resistance low here, and we created a new high, and then we broke through this low, right? Boom, we broke through this low. We corrected back up. Price didn't break through this high. We created a new low. What are we seeing happen here? Well, a bunch of nothing right here. This is nothing. But as long as price doesn't break above this area of interest high at this 45.86 level, then price is likely still going to push to the downside, right? And so that's what we would anticipate from this area, unless this area of interest is broken. And again, I want to see a move above this 4600 level to actually start looking for buys. I wouldn't be looking for buys if price pushes up here and breaks above this high, because what is that doing, right? We're pushing right into a large time frame key area of resistance. This is like asking to get stopped out by taking this trade above this area into this resistance here. That's not a good trade. You want to see price actually get above that resistance, so some type of rejection off of that area, and then look for that continuation up. That's going to be your highest probability move. Where are you trading live again? I trade live in our VIP Bro, your skin so good. You look like I appreciate that. My skin actually isn't good. You guys are seeing a filter, right? I put that filter on there. I actually gotta do better on my skincare. Appreciate the follow Chicken Rock. Appreciate the follow Marcus T. I will be up in your DM immediately once the live is over. Yeah, no worries there. We'll go ahead and we'll chat it up in there. And we'll talk about it, right? We're at 11K likes. Can we get to 12K? Can we get to 12K? We've already hit 12K. We've done three lives, right? This is our fourth one. This is our fourth live. Our record is 12K. Can we break the record? Can you guys get us past that record there? And I will promise you, as a return on your investment in liking it, I will make sure that I come back here each and every day to give you guys this value here so that you guys know what exactly we're looking for in the markets and what we could actually see happen, right? We got about another 10 or so minutes. So let's crush those likes if you guys are getting value out of this here, right? So what else do we want to take a look at? Let's take a look here at gas prices. Have you guys noticed that the price of gas has been going up? And here in Virginia, it's about $4 a gallon, right? We're creeping up on these all-time highs. Now, when did we actually get to these all-time highs up here? This was during post-COVID. So we had a hyperinflation period where we seen inflation raise, what was it, like 42% past its highest? I don't know, something like that. It was a crazy, crazy number, right? Something that we hadn't seen in a long time. But now we're back in this bullish run, right? I would greatly appreciate if price wanted to come down so that we could actually pay cheaper prices for gas, but it's looking like we're pretty bullish here. So expect the price of gas to continue to rise up because we're creating higher highs and higher lows, unfortunately. So yeah, that's one thing there. I appreciate you guys for tapping that like. We just hit 12K likes. I really want to hit 13. I want to pass the 12K mark. But if we can get to that 13, you guys, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, so what we got going on for the YM? The YM actually closed as a bullish daily candle. Okay, well, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so the YM was one that we were least confident in. And why were we least confident in actually taking sell moves for the YM? Because the YM gave us a shallow break. What is a shallow break? That means just a slight break of this low. That means that it was actually struggling at this level. And once it pushed through, it immediately wanted to push back above. And then today, like, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. When we got that break of our larger time frame area of interest low up here, right? This was that same exact low. This is all the same structure, essentially. Once we broke through this low, we got a nice impulsive run to the downside. This is not a shallow break, right? This would be a shallow break where we just barely break through this low and then we see an immediate correction off of that low. Now, we know that this daily candle did close as a bullish daily candle. We could see a steeper move to the upside, but we're at that key area of resistance here at that 45, let's say 500, 45, 500, where we have this resistance that price could actually hold this area. And if we stay under this area, then we would likely target that the current weekly low here, which is at that 45,000. We're going to say 45,000 is going to be our target. Boom. And so what type of market structure? Goodness, why is it not pulling it up? 45,000. There we go. Boom. There we go. Okay. So what type of market structure are we in though? We had an impulsive move. Boom. Nice impulsive move. A corrective structure. And what will we expect to happen, especially if this area of interest can hold? We would see another impulsive move to the downside in the direction of our trend. That's exactly what we would see. So where do I actually want to get in at for this move if we were looking to take sells off of the YM? Well, we definitely want to see some lower time frame shift, right? We already kind of have some lower time frame shift going on here. Let's take a look at that, right? Price created this high. We created a low, we created a higher high. Then we came back and we broke through this low. Not only did we break through the low here, right? So we broke through this low. But then once we broke through this low here, price actually formed some type of correction and then broke through yet again, right? Confirming that, hey, this structure is flipping from being in a bullish structure to now being back into our bearish wave. And we could potentially see a bearish impulsive move to the downside to break through the previous or the current weekly low, which is down here at this like 45.50 level, and to really target that 45,000 level, which is going to be our solid whole number, right? Just right below that low. Look at how price is coming back up to that 23,100. Where did we see that rejection off of? I'm telling you guys, once you start to understand how price moves and how these candles place in these larger time frame areas of interest, I'm telling you, this is like, it's like a puzzle. You just put all the pieces together, and then you see the bigger picture, and that's how you're going to start making consistent money. What did we reject off of? We rejected right off of that 23,000 level, right? Price couldn't close below the 23,000. As soon as it pushed below 23,000, we're immediately rejecting off of that. We're immediately rejecting off of that. And where will we likely go? Back to our resistance at 23,100. Duh, that's where we would go, 23,100. That's our solid whole number here that we were looking to target here today. So now we're having an area of support now turn into an area of resistance. And then from this area, we could potentially see that steeper move to the downside. This is not to say that price is going down from this level. No, but this is saying that this is a key area that on our lower time frame, we could potentially see a lower time frame shift from, right? That's all that we get from this right here. We got a nice bullish move up where with this structure actually flipped from being bearish to now being bullish, right? Well, we would need to break above our key high. Our key high is the highest point that broke for our previous low. If this is my previous low here, this is the highest point that broke for our previous low to push to the downside here. So as long as price doesn't break above that 23,163 level, then we're still in this lower time frame bearish trend. Well, we're in a larger time frame bearish trend. We already know that, but we're still in this technical lower time frame bearish structure. I don't care how strong price appears to look at this area of resistance because I know how strong this area is. If we do break above this area, then we could see some volume. But if we reject off of this area, then moves back down into that 22,959 is what we're going to be looking for. And this is likely going to be our target for tomorrow. And what would be the best possible move for myself? One of the best moves is if we can actually, you take a look at our 4-hour time frame, we actually get some type of 4-hour correction, potentially even up into these 23,200 levels where we have our 4-hour resistance, and then seeing that sweep of our current daily low here at that 22,960. That's where we're going to be looking to target here today. So my whole thesis tomorrow is getting and finding a solid probable move to break through this 22,960 levels. I appreciate all of the follows. You sound well informed. Show us the way. Hey, look, I'm doing the best I can, right, to show you guys exactly how these markets are moving and exactly how we're executing and able to make money today, right? We were able to capitalize on a solid 1 to 2 hour trade here, and then another 1 to 6 hour trade to break through that 23,100 because that was our target here today, and that's what we actually traded with our members in the VIP. So if you're in the VIP, you should have made money on this move to the downside. If you were on this live this morning, you should have made money on this move to the downside. If you were on the live last night, you should have made money on this move to the downside because it's all we talked about. Are you going to trade MNQ anytime soon? What session? I trade MNQ. I trade the New York session. So I mainly just only trade the New York session. I kind of broke it down a little bit this morning as to why I only trade the New York session. But if you guys want to know why I only specifically trade the New York session, well, let's pull up our market sessions here. If we pull up our market session indicator and we, uncheck our London and our Tokyo session, and we pull up our New York session, and then we go to, let's say, 100 of the previous New York session. So as soon as my keyboard connects, we'll see that 100 pop up. Boom, we hit OK here. All right, why do I trade the New York session? Because we oftentimes see a nice high volume move in the New York session. Look at this move to the downside. Look at this move to the downside. Look at this move to the downside, right? And this will oftentimes happen in our New York session where we will see these moves here. Like this was a little bit choppier. That's cool. Price was stuck in this range for a long time, but once we broke out of it, we broke out with that New York session. We was able to capitalize on these moves to the downside as well, right? And then what did we see? We broke through a larger time frame structure. We got a nice move to the downside. Nice move here. So these are all, if you just go back through the past, you can just see the volume that we have in the markets during this session in particular, right? And that's exactly why I specifically trade the New York session, because I want to give myself the best opportunity, especially if I'm looking to take 1 to 2 trades a day. I want to trade in the most opportune times. I don't want to be trading in the Sydney session or the, really the Tokyo session either, because price tends to be slow for these USD pairs in those sessions, right? And why is that? That's just because the US banks aren't actually actively trading. So we don't typically see, typically is the key word there, a ton of volume. Okay, so look, we just literally exploded past this. We got to talk about this here. We pushed through our 23,100 and we've exploded past this 23. Well, we're into this 23,200. So let's talk about this structure here and what we're actually seeing happen. This is still on the 4-hour time frame, right? We got to take a look at the 4-hour time frame because we need to understand what our overall market structure is telling us. We got a low, a high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. We're anticipating a lower high to be priced in. And again, we're going to be, the higher this push-ups, as long as it doesn't break through this high, the better that this sell move is going to be to the downside to take out this current weekly low at this 22,968. And I'm telling you, just off of this 23,000 level, the move from this 23,000 level was absolutely crazy, right? We rejected right off of our 23,000. Boom, right there. And we're getting a strong move to the upside. This is not to say that I'm looking for buys, because I'm still not looking for buys. I don't care how strong this candle is, right? We're in an overall bearish market structure, and nobody could have anticipated that this was going to just push up like this. Now, we do know that price, we had this larger time frame area of interest, this 23,000 level, that we could see buyers step into the markets off of. But in terms of anticipating this influx in volume, this was not our likely move here. And so I'm still bear biased despite what you guys may see right here. I believe that as we start to creep into these larger time frame key areas of interest here, that we're going to actually see price begin to slow up, forming smaller candles, and then eventually giving us our lower time frame shift to continue pushing us to the downside here. If we go back up through and we actually start flipping this structure, then we'll reevaluate and go from there. But as of right now, still all signs point to a bearish market structure. I appreciate the follow, Fi Girl. I appreciate the follow. I can't say that. Appreciate the follow, Crazy 8. We've just crossed 13,000. I think we actually crossed 13,000 likes a little earlier in the stream. But essentially, again, in terms of targets, 23,000 is going to be our daily target tomorrow to potentially see some type of move off of. If we do see this structure is extremely bullish during our session tomorrow, and we actually break back above this area of resistance, then we could see a steeper move back up into this 23, let's say 23,800, and we may look for buys above that area there. But until this lower time frame or this larger time frame structure is broken, I am not inclined to buys. Any buy move that you see is going to be likely a corrective structure based trade. And so how I actually trade corrective structure based trades is I'm moving stop loss to break even a little bit sooner, and I'm making sure that I'm taking my profits as we're nearing those larger time frame reversal zones. Because again, at any moment we could see price start to reject and give us a steeper move to the downside. So just keep an eye out for that there. I am on for about another 2 minutes here before we hop off. So is there any questions that you guys have or any charts that you guys want to take a look at before we actually hop off here? And we'll be back on tomorrow at around 8 a.m. Yeah, I think 8 a.m. We're trying to lock in a consistent schedule here so that you guys can, be on for these pre-market preps so that you guys can see what exactly I'm going to be trading in our market session. We got 93 followers from this live here. Can we cross 100? I need 7 more people to follow to cross over 100 followers on this. I'm gonna hit your DM, Don. I'll be looking out for it. I'll be making sure to talk to you there. And again, if you guys want my step-by-step blueprint, you guys want the trading journal, it's absolutely free. You can just shoot me a DM. I'll send it over to you after the live session so that you guys have that. And in there is included is a link to our VIP, so you can actually join our VIP as well if you want to trade live with me and the team. You can't replace community, right? Our community is such a loving community. Not my words, the community's words, right? It's such a loving community, and they're really supportive in there, and everybody in there is really, putting in that work, right? You want to be around those people and surround yourself. I've seen the statistics that said that you up your chances of success just by being by like 25%, just by being in proximity to a high performer. But that same thing happens if you're in proximity to a low performer, then you decrease your performance by 25%. So being in a group, in a community of traders who are all doing the same exact thing that you're trying to do, getting funded, taking consistent payouts, and actually learning how to, both trust yourself and execute with confidence in the markets. Good habits build good habits. How do I join your community? You can click the link in my bio to join the VIP. If you just want to strictly just hop into the VIP, you can join it there. I have a free Telegram as well. I got to figure out a different way I haven't really talked about my free Telegram, but I do post. Since we've been going live here, I haven't been posting in there as much, right? But I typically do post a morning breakdown analysis of what it is that I'm looking for coming into the charts there. But as long as you guys show up to these lives, you guys will have a more in-depth understanding of what exactly I'm looking at for our trading session throughout the day. And again, if you want to trade live with me and the team, we had an absolutely banger day here today where we caught 2 solid moves to the downside to break through that key larger time frame area of interest, which was really solid for us there. We're starting to get some rejection off of this. This is a key area that price could potentially flip off of. So keep an eye out for this 23, let's say 23,300. You guys know I like my solid hold numbers. It's 23,300 could be our area of resistance that we actually flip and actually see this move to the downside. We got a nice little wick pricing in here where price is getting some rejection off of that key area of interest. And we had no real corrective structure once we had pushed down, right? We had this nice push to the downside. No real corrective structure really formed throughout that move, which is why we took that high volume break to the downside. Okay, so we got 95 followers from this live here today, and we crushed 14,000 likes. I greatly appreciate you guys. I hope you guys got some value out of this, and I hope to see you tomorrow for our pre-market prep, so you guys know exactly what it is that I'm looking for, and we'll update this structure here based on, you know, what the price action is telling us, and hopefully price doesn't just run down to us during the London session when we're out of there. But if it does, that'll offer some good moves to catch during the New York session as well. So I will see you guys there. I appreciate the ace, Don. That means Don was actually getting some value out of this. Again, if you my time is different, so that'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard. So 8 a.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard. I keep forgetting that everybody's time is different. So yeah, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're 3 followers away from 100 followers on this live stream. Can we get 3 more people? If you got some value out of this, be sure to drop a follow and drop those likes. I greatly appreciate it. I'm telling you, it does help to push the stream out even more. And we want to get more people involved in actually understanding how the markets work. And look at this rejection off of this area, right? Still, again, I told you guys, I don't care how bullish this appears to be, right? We're still in a bearish market structure. This is helping to confirm that, hey, look, we are still in a bearish market structure. Sellers are trying to drive this market lower despite having that strong rejection off of that 23,000 level, which is just a nice psychological whole number. You got to think that, you know, there's a lot of traders in the industry who are taking their profits at this area where a lot of sellers are actually getting out of their trades at this 23,000 level, which is why we see that influx in volume to push back up off of this level. This makes for a great level to target tomorrow for a continuation based sell. And if you break through this area just like how we broke through that, my goodness, if we break through this area just how we broke through that 23,100 right here, right, we could actually see some continued volume to the downside, one especially since 23,000 is a super solid whole number there, psychological whole number. You break through that level there, you can see and expect some type of volume after breaking through this low. This is the reaction that we got just already solidifies that this is a strong area of interest. Did you take any trades today? If so, which ones? Yeah, I took 2 trades today. We caught 2 bangers. We made a 1-2 R on the first trade, and then we made a 1-6 R on the second trade. I'll just mark it out for you real quick before we hop off. My first trade I took was right here. We wanted to see this continuation to the downside. We didn't get the best continuation to the downside, but we were able to snag that 1-2 R on that trade. And then we closed 80% around this low here and then let that run, the 20% to run. We got taken out at break even for that last 20%. The next trade that I took was actually within this area of interest here. Right here, with it stops above this area of interest high. I think I had it above my candle high, if I'm not mistaken. We ended up running for about a 1-6 hour. I think it was above this high. I can't be too sure. I know my entry was at 23,153. I don't remember exactly where my stop loss is. Chances are it was either above this high or above this 1 minute candle high. I can't remember because I moved stops to break even so quick because we had pushed down. But we ended up securing about a 1-6 R on that trade. Oh yeah, you can see it here. So this is above like somewhere within this area, and then I got trailed out right here with this move because I was just trailing the lower lows. So every low that every high that we created, I was just trailing those highs. So we trailed here. We had broke through that 23,100. So I had took 50% of my profits at 23,100. You see that's this area here, and then I just left the rest of the trade to run, and we got trailed out right in there. What firm do you recommend? What firm do I recommend? It depends, right? I trade Apex, right? I trade it, take profit trader. It just depends on what your goals What the fuck just happened? Oh, okay, no, I'm tripping. Yeah, we're still seeing rejection. I thought we was I don't know why I thought this was like the 15-minute time frame and price was just continuing to skyrocket up, but we are getting that rejection. And that lower time frame shift is looking like it's actually printing in here, right? We got a low created, we got a high. Let's see if we get a lower low, lower high and see this market start to trickle to the downside here. We caught a nice trade on the YM last week, exactly like that. All right, so this is going to wrap up today's live. I hope you guys got some value out of this. I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to join the VIP trade live with me and the team Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and join the community, you can click the link in my bio. And if you guys want my full step-by-step blueprint here, you guys can get that by just DMing me. You'll get the full blueprint and you'll get the trading journal so that you can track all of your trades here. It'll keep a track of your win rate and the assets that you're trading as well. And then you can log each of those trades. I highly recommend putting the link to each of your trades and then journaling exactly how you felt during the trade. What was the trade that you took? How did you feel when you were entering the trade? And what was the result of the trade there? You guys can get my free journal if you want. Mentor me, please. I have one-on-one mentorships available. So if you do want a one-on-one mentorship, I'll send you the application. Just DM me the word mentor because that's the easiest word I can think of. DM me the word mentor if you guys want or interested in one-on-one mentorships. I can only take but so many people. About 5 people is what I like to do because we'll build your full blueprint, right? And each week we update, what is this week's goal? What did we do last week? What moves are we going to be looking for? How we're going to look to trade, depending on if you're trading a funded account or if you're trading, a challenge account. What is the goals for the week? What are some of the moves that you're going to capitalize off of? How you actually want to actually structure your week and some goals that you have. So it'll cover all of that. And then the biggest thing is accountability, right? Having somebody actually hold you accountable. And I'm going to hold you accountable. So don't think that this is going to be like something sweet. I would definitely be holding you guys accountable. Oh, you overtraded today? Why'd you overtrade? How many trades did you take? Did you journal those trades? Like all of that. Be prepared for all of that. And journaling your trade is going to be the one thing that you hear me say the most, because if you're in the mentorship, I need to be able to take a look at your journal so that we can actually go through your trades that you're taking and we can talk about it, right? That's how you actually improve as a trader. You need to be able to review the trades that you're taking. So if you're just taking a whole bunch of trades and you're not, journaling these trades, you're not keeping track of the data that's happening with the trades, then how do you expect yourself to get better? So that is that there. I'll catch you guys in the next live tomorrow. DM me mentor if you want to be mentored, and you can just DM me if you want the blueprint and the journal. Catch you guys tomorrow. Sorry, brother. I know you wanted to get out of here probably earlier than what we've been in, but didn't want to ruin it. I stayed on way longer than I wanted to, but it's okay.